welcome to the podcasting today. Today's topic is, what do you want your family to know about your kids or kids this holiday season? Like right around the corner. Like I feel like Thanksgiving just ended and now we're fast approaching to like Christmas.
Yeah, how's it the 5th already?
It's coming quick. Sorry, go ahead.
It's fast.
No, you're good.
It is so fast.
Yeah. So what I want my family to realize about my child would probably be that I think a lot of people don't understand, like, this is a lot, like everything's a lot. And I feel like I repeat myself all the time, but when you don't have a child that has challenges or all this going on, you have no clue. And I was that person for the first 4 kids. And then when Riker came, the lights, the sounds, the colors, everything is just a lot. So there are times when he can't control himself. People don't believe that. He can't control his moods. He can't control his breakdowns. He can't control when it's too much. And a lot of people take it personally. We might go to a birthday party and he gets just overstimulated and he might be rotten. He might throw a fit and he might be looking like he's being bad. It's too much for him. So you know what? If it's not hurting anybody and it's not bothering you, then just let him be. That's my big thing. If my child is not hurting you and he wants to sit over there on the couch by himself, let him be, because he needs that.
Yeah.
Riker needs about Chrissy, you've seen this. He needs a good 15, 20 minutes and then he's perfect. But people keep wanting to, like, when little kids are having, like, they don't believe that little kids have bad days and breakdowns too. And they do. So, like, let's give them all a little bit of grace this holiday season, because it's a lot.
I too feel like there's a lot of expectation on adults on how our kids are supposed to be acting or how they're supposed to respond. I mean, I remember, for my grandson, my mom gave him, a nice Christmas gift, and he responded kind of in a different way than she wanted him to. Like, he was excited, but I think the bike didn't have like a kickstand or something, and he kind of like said some, and kind of like lost control a little bit, and she's like, well, he doesn't like it. And I'm like, Mom, your expectation of how he responds is not what you need to be worried about. You're giving him a gift and he loves it, but his response might not be your ideal because he's on the spectrum. It's like black and white, and it's like he's going to love it and he's, going to show it to you, but don't have that expectation. And I feel, like a lot of times, especially during holidays, there's so many things crammed into one. Like you said, Jill, like let it go. Like, don't be, pushing for this high level of, being perfect 100% of the time.
I know. And it's literally like they kind of like keep poking and prodding because they want the response that they want. And I know that there's people that like take it personally when my little boy acts the way he does. And I'm not going to lie, I probably did it first too, because I had never dealt with that before. And, you're
Right.
kind of like, oh my goodness. And it's embarrassing. Yourself, when you take your child somewhere and they act the way they do, it's embarrassing. And I've just got to the point where, like I said, listen, if nothing's on fire and nobody's bleeding, we're good. Like,
let it go.
Exactly. Because the bigger I have people in my family that'll make a huge deal about everything he does. And then it just makes it worse. And then at the end of the day, he's like, well, they said I ruined the day. They said I was a bad boy. Well, then we just don't. Yeah, like, we're not going to go there. They're not going to ruin your day. So I just think, like you said, the expectations, and just realize he's a kid. I know adults.
And what he must feel, if he's saying that, like, what is his expectations for the next holiday, social gathering, he's not going to probably want to go because of that.
Exactly.
And I've also often heard, like, oh, well, your daughter was fine. Like, I don't understand where that be, you say this behavior, and I'm like, you see her maybe how many times out of the year?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I know.
It's so
She came to pick up her keyboard because I have her keyboard. And I told her, I was like, come up to the office and say hi.
welcome to podcasting. So we were talking about holiday expectations. One thing that we were talking about was expectation of our family members, you know, and not having that grace to understand. I think, you know, even like I was talking about the bicycle, I think that even clothes, I know that my grandson, like I personally have given him so many things. Like I got him children's place, like shoes, like dress shoes and like pants and stuff. And he would never wear those shoes ever because they were too stiff. He could not wear them. Physically was not going to do it. So that expectation of mine, like, oh, you want to look nice? Here's the nice dress. Nope. You know, what he wants to wear, he's going to wear.
And
let it be comfortable.
Kids don't want clothes anyway. So my mom does the same thing. She gets everybody clothes and jogging suits, and my kids open it, put it right back in, moving on. And my mom gets her feelings hurt. Yeah, and my mom gets her feelings hurt, and I'm like, they're 6 and 9. I'm 49. I don't want clothes. Like, no.
Oh, I do.
Well, for grandma, I was doing it out of like necessities. You know?
Well, I don't want clothes.
Understanding that socks are going to be itchy or tags, you know, very sensory, you know, clothes that have sensory issues for kids, you know, like understand that they might not like the certain type of clothes because of a sensory issue.
Well,
we call it the witching hour when Grayson goes crazy over his clothes. Like over the weekend, we were getting their pictures taken with Santa. And I had like cute little like jeans and hey dudes and like little Christmas stuff picked out. No, you know what my boys wore? Sweatpants. Because at the time to get dressed, they were throwing themselves on the ground dying at the idea that I might put jeans on them. And so whatever, they're wearing sweatpants in their Santa picture, but at least they were smiling.
Sure, it looked good.
Yeah, it was fine. Nobody cried. We were good.
What about you guys sending your kids to a different family members for like a visit, like long term or anything?
No, don't do it. Doesn't happen.
Nope.
I don't even have anybody in my family that watch my kids.
I think that it just needs to be, let's try to make the best of everything. Nothing's going to be perfect, but make the most of it. You know, when I have my grandkids, you know, most of the time it's on weekends or, you know, when mom's working, and not everything is going to be perfect. You know, we watch movies, we make breakfast, we make we don't make movies, we make meals together, you know, and if somebody doesn't want to take part in that, then that's okay, you know, but try to have as much fun as possible. I think that my mom, you know, would not understand maybe being on electronics a little bit longer than the 2 hours, you know, if they're like my grandson who loves playing games.
I don't know about you guys. I don't let my boys go to people's houses. For one, Riker can be difficult sometimes, and I just feel like, again, the people in my family don't get it, and they're kind of mean to him. And I just don't have it. So they don't really go anywhere. And like I said, it's just for their protection because he can't control it, and his medicine wears off at a certain time, and you know, and then I don't like other people giving him his medicine at night. I don't know. It's just weird, and it is what it is. And I have my grandkids.
You also said it was for their protection, but I think it's also for his, because they might, if they're not understanding what his needs are and they're not respecting and acknowledging that maybe they need to change their thinking and their process of handling it, then I wouldn't probably send mine either.
Yeah.
He's a sweet little soul though. He does okay here, but I guess I understand him because I'm kind of like him a little bit. So I
Well,
guess
yeah, you don't take things personally. Like it's like, and that's why I always tell people. I mean, there's some things he does say that are personal, like, but
I love
you know,
Riker.
he's, but like people in my family, like I'm not gonna mention names in case they ever watch the podcast, but they just literally like they thinks it's the worst thing in the world ever. And I laugh and I'm like, I probably did too. When I seen other people with kids that would have meltdowns and, act the way he does. But I think it's just hard. It's all the way around. I told you, Disney taught me a lot. And I'll probably never be the same in many
Tiff, you
ways.
send yours up north, don't you, to visit?
Yeah. They go up for 2 weeks at a time over the summer to visit my parents and Nate's parents.
So do you have a certain idea of how you would give that recommendation to other families about what you do in the summertime that could be helpful in the holiday time?
Honestly, a lot of my expectations for the way I would like things to go kind of have to go out the window, and I have to just not think about it, because the only set of parents that actually do the things that I ask and keep me in the loop on things is Nate's dad and stepmom. Other than that, we're the grandparent. They're with us to have fun. And if mom's not around, mom doesn't know. So I just kind of keep their well-being and everything in the back of my mind. But I also have come to the realization that I'm not going to know everything. And I just have to be okay with that if I want them to have any sort of quality time with their family that lives out of town.
My kids go for the summer. They used to go for 10 days to, where do they go, Chrissy?
Oh, it's in Ohio. Tappan Lake.
They go to Tappan, and it's down to 3 days. And when I get there to pick them up, Riker has not had his medicine for 3 days. He looks like a wild animal coming out of the woods with branches and sticks and dirt, in his hair. And literally it takes days to get him back to normal. But you feel bad because, just like you said, that's the only time that they get to have fun or be with their grandma. And this is when we went to Disney with. So you're right, Tiff. You have to just be like, okay, they're not going to let them get hurt. Hopefully, they're not going to let them die. Like as soon as I lay eyes on them, I'm fine. But it's rough. Like I said, I know that Riker takes medicine 3 times a day. So you just worry, is he getting his medicine? Is he eating?
Right.
Right.
Honestly, at that point, if they come back alive, that's what I'm happy with.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as they're alive when they come home.
Right. And I think holidays as a standstill is so overstimulating. Like there's so many things going on. And I think that a lot of times our family members don't understand overstimulation for our kids, and that it can be very stressful, and that in itself can cause more behaviors or being withdrawn, and not wanting to take part in some of these things. And then you go back into, them taking it personally again. So I think I've had conversations with my family members, like to kind of understand maybe when my children will like start to withdraw from conversation, and just to let them be, kind of recognize when they're trying to get stressed out, like if they're having anxiety. I know that on the outside physically, like the hand motions of being like, like hands always constantly seeing like, I don't want to be here kind of feeling. Then it's like, take a step back and let them go into the other room and just like step away from all of this stress of people and lights and loud sounds. Loud sounds can be very triggering.
The loud, is a lot. And it's tough sometimes to explain your reasoning and why you're doing things. Like I know I've run into that with my own family, where they're like, oh, well, you cater to them too much. You do this or you do that. And it's like, no, I don't let them get too hungry. I don't let them get too tired. I don't let them spiral. So if I see that like somebody's getting tired, somebody's starving, somebody's like starting to melt, we change and pivot. And I guess I do kind of cater to them, but it's not to be like a helicopter hovering parent. It's more to like avoid a total meltdown for the whole family, because there's 6 of us. And if one goes off the rails, I feel like we all follow suit.
I think the word that you use should be one word that we should be using during the holiday season. And that word is pivot. Like nothing is so set in stone that we cannot change the course and modify it. Like if something is not fitting our kids, we can just pivot and change the direction. I like that.
Yeah, it's like, who does it hurt if he's eating easy mac instead of a crab cake or something? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't hurt anybody to eat a Velveeta cup while before dinner's ready, so he doesn't fall apart and melt.
Honestly, as hard as it can be for some people to understand, sometimes family members and people outside of your home have to learn those behaviors and those things on their own. I just went through it with my mom when we were home for the holiday. She took my kids to a musical, and Lane is very much, he gets overwhelmed with, loud noises, a lot of people. And she took him to the musical. It was 8:42, I think she said, and they were just hitting intermission. And she said, Tiffany, we had to leave because Lane just said that it was too much. There were too many people. It was too loud. And that's something that she's had to learn, because my mom can be very hard sometimes, and she can be very, oh, well, nothing's wrong with him and everything's fine. And she's not in our home daily to see what we struggle with sometimes. And I've gotten to the point where sometimes people just have to be in those situations and kind of learn and understand them on their own.
Absolutely. I think something that's kind of been echoed across every one of us is setting boundaries for ourselves. Because each one of you had said, like, they don't understand what it's like to parent our children that are struggling. Mm-hmm. So if they don't know, how can they support them? So it's us setting boundaries for our children to allow the people that do understand the ability to help us and have fun with our kids. But if the family members that can't, then that boundary to protect us and our children has to come.
Mm-hmm.